guys, welcome to Curriculum Night. This is Miss Esselman talking to you. For those of you who don't know, I teach 6th, 7th, and 8th grade here in the Special Education Department. This year I am a virtual cross-cat teacher, and if your child is in my class, you've probably seen me, talked with me, we've probably talked on the phone or texted back and forth already, but I wanted to create this just so you have a little bit more information if you don't already know all of this information. So a little bit about me. I have been a teacher for 4 years. This is my second year teaching in the cross-categorical department here at QJHS. I have been at Quincy Junior High and in special education all 4 of those years. Before being here in cross-cat, I was in a different department, but I love being here and I hope to be here for several more years to come. This year I am teaching virtually, if you haven't already noticed. But normally I teach reading, writing, and social studies or geography. In the past, I have also taught life skills, which is something I am also very passionate about. So our daily schedule. Each day we have a 15-minute morning advisory from 7:45 to 8 o'clock. During that time, we do just kind of like a check-in. I ask how the students are doing. We talk about the night before or the weekend before. I ask them what they're doing that afternoon. We might practice a skill like writing the date. We might, I'm hoping to start working on having them practice signing their name in cursive. So just little skills that are important. We also have a 30-minute afternoon advisory from 12:30 to 1 o'clock. It usually doesn't last the whole 30 minutes. It might only last 5 minutes, but it really is just a check-in. In the afternoon, we have to take attendance in the morning and in the afternoon. So that just gives us an afternoon check-in time. It also allows me to poll a student if I need to talk with someone individually or give any last-minute announcements or reminders for the students. And then, of course, we also have 4 one-hour-long classes that we meet for. So this is our daily schedule. From 7:45 to 8 o'clock, we have our morning advisory, which I just talked about. And then from 8 until noon, I have reading and writing back to back. In the afternoon, I had that 30-minute advisory time. And then between writing and advisory is our 30-minute lunchtime. So what does the classes look like? If you had questions, you weren't really sure, or you weren't really sure if your child was telling you it accurately, the first 30 minutes of the class period is whole group work. So during that time in reading, we are doing a reading analysis where the students listen to me read aloud and we answer questions. Up until this point, it's been pretty repetitive because I want them to be able to get specific skills mastered before we move on. But I'm hoping to make those increasingly harder as we go throughout the year, just so they have more of a challenge. And then we have 2 15-minute small groups. So during my first class of the day for reading, from 8:30 to 8:45, I have a small group. And then from 8:45 to 9 o'clock, I have a different small group. But this takes place during every hour. So from 9:30 to 9:45, 9:45 to 10 o'clock, I'll meet with a different group. So during this time, Ms. Tobias and I are both working with different groups. So your child might meet with me from 8:30 to 8:45 for reading groups, and then meet with Ms. Tobias from 9:30 to 9:45 in the next class. This is just so all of my students get a small group reading time with me, and they also get a 15-minute small group time with Ms. Tobias where they are working on word work. And those 15 minutes go by pretty quick, but it also gives your child a 15-minute brain break during that hour-long class. So we've found it to be pretty essential to keeping students engaged. All right, so expectations. This is a very strange year, and I personally don't really believe in many rules. I do believe in having expectations for students to follow, and then we have discussions if things come up or if students aren't meeting those, but generally my students really do live up to my expectations. So this year, I expect that students are present and active in each class. I also expect that students can access materials that have been dropped off to them. So Ms. Holdeman and I spend quite a bit of time putting together the work. We are still trying to figure out a good system to deliver the work, and then what is realistic and what we can get done in our time and what is just too much. So we ask the students to keep things in their binder, in their basket, and we really would appreciate it if they try to keep everything together. And then, of course, we also ask if students are respectful and following basic school rules, such as no cussing, no bullying, dressing appropriately, etc. If things come up that we need to, discuss with you, I will probably reach out and text or call you. But so far, we have had a pretty good year, and all students are following expectations pretty well. I do not expect that all my students have their cameras on at all times. I know that some of my students, they don't want me to see what their home looks like, or they just feel more comfortable if the camera is off. So that is fine, but they will need to be able to turn it on and off to show me work. So if I have a student named Sally that has her camera off during writing, that is fine. But when I say, hey, Sally, I need you to show me that you completed your writing journal, she will have to turn it on just for a couple seconds to show me that she completed it. I'll say, great, and then she'll be able to put it away. Also, students should be able to mute and unmute when asked questions. So that just helps there to be less background noise. Most of my students are experts at muting and unmuting, but that just helps us be able to keep things moving along. Instead of me saying, hey, Billy, can you unmute? Can you unmute? Can you unmute? Eventually, all of my students have learned by now. Once I ask them, I try to prep some of my students beforehand, but everyone's doing a really good job with it. So grades look different for me this year. The students get graded weekly for participating in class. And they will also get grades on specific assignments that we ask them to save and turn in at the end of each month. One of those things will be our reading analysis, which they will have 2 of in their writing packet that will also come back to me. Ms. Tobias has asked them to put some stuff in their turn-in folder. And those things will be graded for points as well. But just so everyone is aware and on the same page, if a student does not respond to a question and their camera is off, they will not get full participation points. So like I said, I do not mind if a student keeps their camera off, but if a student has their camera off and I'm asking them a question and I wait for 10 seconds and then I ask again and I wait for another 10 seconds and I ask the third time and I still get no response, at that point with their camera being off and no response, I'm assuming that they have walked away from the computer, or they have fallen asleep, or they're not engaged, or they're up walking around the house. So they do not get full participation points then. Most of my students who have their cameras off, they are excellent. I ask them a question, they quickly unmute, they answer, so I know they're engaged, I know they're listening. This has not been a huge problem, but just so everyone is aware, if their camera's off and they are not responding, when I ask them a specific question, then they will not get full participation points in that class. So this is an example of my weekly grade sheet. I write every student's name right here. So for example, Danny will get his name written here, and then I'll write the week that I am grading Danny here. And then I will, for every day, I will say, is he on time? If he's on time, he gets a point. I usually give students a grace period of about 5 minutes to get into class. I will say, did they participate and were they engaged? So a student might complete their writing journal, but that might be after they have played on their phone for 20 minutes. That they would not get points for being engaged. Or they might complete the work that I asked them to do, but maybe they, weren't paying attention like they should have. So they wouldn't get all their points. And then I also have points down here for small groups. Were they on time for small groups? Did they participate in the groups and were they engaged? So they get 30 points a week from me in reading. Ms. Tobias has a weekly score. So for her, for word work, how are the students acting? And then I have one for writing as well. So dropped off work. So Ms. Holdeman and I, our plan right now, unless things change within the district, is to drop off work once a month and to pick up work at the same time. So we are asking that you please try to help your student keep their work organized. I know it's difficult. Trust me, usually I'm in a lot more control of it than I can be now, but we are sitting at home with them, so we know that it's going to be a little bit of a struggle to help them stay organized and to help keep everything in order, but we're asking that you please try to help them. And we will be trying different organizational systems until we find one that works. The binders worked for some of our students this time, but for others it was just too much, and they would pull papers out and then things would get lost. So we're going to try something a little different in the month of October, and then we might try something a little different in November until we find something that works. If the binder system really worked well for your child, please keep using that. You can always hole punch, put stuff in the binder, whatever works for them. But that is what we are going to try for October. All right, contact information. So if you ever have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I love hearing from parents. I would much rather you text me or call me if something little has come up than to wait a week and for it to be much bigger. I will try to get back to you right away, especially if your child is upset about something. I never want one of my students to be upset or to not want to come to class or for them to feel like I'm mad at them or anything like that. So please don't hesitate to reach out. My email address is right there on the screen. So is my cell phone number and Remind. So my email address and my cell phone number are probably the quickest ways for you to get a hold of me. Obviously, that is my personal cell phone number, so there might be times where I can't respond, or if I'm spending time with family, or it's 7 o'clock at night and I'm not around my computer, I might not be able to get back to you right away, but I will try my best. Of course, you can send me an email at any time. The Remind app is just another way for us to communicate if you prefer using that. And then, of course, my school phone number with the extension 1185 is right there on the screen. That's probably the slowest way to communicate with me. My light is always blinking whether I have a voicemail or not, so I try to check that once a week. So if you call me at the school and I don't get back to you right away, try texting me on my cell phone, and I will try to get back to you much quicker than I probably would on the school phone. So feel free to write this down, any of this information. And like I said, please do not hesitate if anything comes up. I do not want any of my parents to be upset about anything or any of my students. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I will try to get you your answer right away. So I appreciate you guys coming by. If you've stuck with me this long, I wish we could all be in school together, and I hope that one day we are again, but I appreciate your involvement and your commitment to their education, and I am very, very impressed with all of the students' hard work. So thank you so much for being here, and I'm sure I will be talking to you again soon. Thank you so much.